This was the scene of devastation at Edgeworth in December of 1988. Vandals set fire to the wooden kindergarten, destroying classrooms and most of their contents. Today, teachers, students and parents proudly showed off the school's new building, which cost more than $150,000. Larissa and Garrett Jarman unveiled the opening plaque, which dedicates the building to their great-grandmother, Thelma Hill. Mrs Hill enjoyed a long association with the school from 1934 until 1989 and became known as the kindergarten grandmother. Firebugs struck the school again in October 1989, gutting the interior of the original school block built in 1891. It was repaired by the start of term in January this year. Now all signs of past trouble are gone and the school is looking forward to celebrating its centenary in 1991.
Dr Howard Dick, the chairman of the Hunter Region Community Forum, accused the Chamber of Commerce and the Civic Centre Committee of living in a fairy tale world and relying on unsubstantiated opinion to base their recommendation that the rail line be terminated at Civic Station. He went on to warn the council that if such a proposal were adopted, a full inquiry into council decision-making would be launched.
What I hope is the unlikely position that council were to make an important decision on the basis of quite unsubstantiated opinions and to go in the face of their own study, which the ratepayers of Newcastle have themselves paid for, then we'd think it was a bit strange, and we'd certainly want to try and get to the bottom of it.
Also delivering a submission to Council, Bryce Gaudry, representing the Newcastle branch of the ALP, urged Council to think very hard about its recommendation. The Alderman will consider 83 submissions on the future of the rail line before making a recommendation to the State Government on the 19th of June.
We don't have the last word at all, and we never have had the last word. We are simply one of the advisors to the Minister. We'll give our advice to the Minister, and in law, it is the Minister's decision. He must make it.
The production called Big Bird Gets Lost is one of 4 shows touring the world and includes all 22 characters from the original television series. The show opens at the Civic Theatre tomorrow and will play twice a day until Tuesday. Thank you, Big Bird. This report has been brought to you by Jodie McKay and the letters NBN.
Great.
They were long regarded as wastelands, unsightly swamps swarming with mosquitoes. But times have changed and wetlands are increasingly recognised as important wildlife havens, which also sustain our fishing industry, help control floods and filter our water supply. The work of Newcastle Shortland Wetlands Centre is fast gaining worldwide acclaim. Chairman Max Maddock is one of only 4 Australian delegates to address an international conference in Switzerland. The gathering will ratify a global conservation treaty to protect wetlands.
And it's a recognition that the Wetlands Centre and the Hunter Wetlands Trust has been doing excellent work in wetland conservation, and also the environmental education work that this centre and the university has been doing linked together over the years.
While Max Maddock is in Europe, Director Brian Gilligan will be packing for a 12-month stint in Malaysia, where he'll coordinate training programs for the Asian Wetland Bureau, an organisation dedicated to the protection of the continent's 120 million hectares of wetlands.
What with suggestions of all sorts of horrific scenarios for the low-lying countries such as Bangladesh, if the greenhouse scenarios actually come to fruition, well then there is an immense need at the moment for those countries to look at very carefully managing their wetland resources.
Newcastle's claim to wetland expertise is well founded. 1/5 of the local government area consists of wetlands. As the population explosion and the drive for development poses an increasing threat to the world's untouched wetland areas, the experts stress there's no room for complacency.
It's most important that we assess our wetlands effectively, and that means proper research, means resources being put into proper research for them, and that we very carefully consider what uses we make of wetlands.
The contest will roll tomorrow with 16 of Australia's top players, including 10 internationals. Between them, they hold an impressive array of titles. Dorothy Roche and Daphne Shaw are Commonwealth Games gold medalists. Today, they dodged the showers to practice their winning shots. Trying to retain his title at the Halikarnani Bowling Club, his last year's winner, Jim Dwyer. He'll be up against stiff competition, the likes of Bob King, 6-time City Masters winner.
I think it's a bit stronger this year than last year, and will be very hard to get another win up again, but I'll be certainly trying.
A relatively new face on the Central Coast scene is Fijian-born Willow Fong, already with a wealth of wins behind her. All will compete over the next 2 days for a total of $4,400 in prize money, with $2,000 to the overall winner.
As with their last home game against Marconi, Australs just couldn't find the net, with Namoff hitting the post, Simon Brand heading over the top, and a Tredanic header cleared off the line. Import Robbie Ironside was making life difficult for Rockdale, but he couldn't convert a couple of opportunities. But then Ironside smacked one across goal where it was parried away. Namoff picked up the crumbs, but he was brought down inside the penalty area, and Australs had a chance to go one up. But they didn't count on Keith Warren, and he made a great save of the Ralph Meyer shot. 20 seconds later, Warren made another brilliant save when Brand's header found Ironside in clear space, but he couldn't beat the keeper. Once again, Warren kept Australs out after a goalmouth scramble, and Rockdale were hanging in by the skin of their teeth. Then right on half-time, a dreadful mix-up between Craig Carter and 2 Austral players, which allowed Greg Laron to swoop on the ball. He hit it straight away to Bruno Bedoni, who skipped around Carter and made no mistake with the shot. Rockdale made it doubly difficult for Australs minutes into the second half. A Stuart Porter shot was brilliantly saved by Carter, but from the corner, Porter got a second chance and he didn't make any error, and the visitors went ahead 2-0. Super sub Paul Kristevsky came on for Australs and he was able to pull one back, but the horse had bolted and Rockdale were home 2-1. Teams from Newcastle, Lake Macquarie, the Central Coast, Lismore, Clarence River, Macleay and Hunter Valleys are taking part in the NBN Newcastle Amateur Soccer Association Championships, which will be conducted over the 3 days of the long weekend. In Newcastle, the under-11 division is being played at Cohiba Oval and the under-16 and 17s are being contested at Tubemakers. At the conclusion of the titles, a representative team will be selected from each age group to go to the state titles in September. Motor racing fanatics were hard at work thrashing their go-karts around the Cameron Park circuit in the Yamaha 1990 Championships today. Competition was very keen, especially in the 100S heavy class. It was a great tussle between the 32 of Chris Green, Stephen Bolden from Sydney in the 0 car, the 9 of Ian Caruso and David Lawton in car 90. Positions changed constantly throughout the race, but it was Green who maintained a cool head to just pip the other three and grab the checkered flag. And to prove there is no favourites or inches given in go-kart racing, how's this for brotherly love, as Brendan and Wesley May lock cars and head off the track. A friendly wave to say I'm sorry, and it's pedal to the metal. The Northern Districts Amateur Swimming Association held their first day's racing at the Hit and Dip Centre today, with competition moving to Singleton tomorrow. Along with the competition, the Ron Faraday Award was presented to the outstanding swimmer in the district, and this year's award went to West Wallsend's James Godfrey, ahead of a very select band of swimmers. To prove he is all class, Godfrey easily won the 400 metres individual medley and the 100 metre butterfly. In the girls, Commonwealth Games trialist Angela Matthew powered away to win her 100 metre butterfly race quite convincingly.
The children of the hunter, young, healthy and fit, or are they? According to the Hunter Institute of Sport, kids like this are a minority. It claims of the 120,000 school children in the area, only 30,000, or 1 in 4, play sport outside school hours. It's a disturbing statistic, and to try to get to the root of the problem, a statewide conference will be held at Newcastle University next month.
The Sports in Schools Congress that's coming up 3rd to 5th of July will be tackling all those problems, the attitudes in sport at schools, the education department, the systems, and why in Australia, when years ago we had the Ken Rosewells and Rod Lavers all coming through the system, today we're struggling to find them.
Brian Carman has just been appointed as a consultant at the Hunter Institute, and although he's mainly concerned with encouraging athletes that already show promise, he recognises the importance of weekend participation as the start to every career.
It's just not bringing the kids in and putting them on scholarships right now. It's right down the track. In 20 years' time, we want to see this as a physical situation as far as a building, similar to the AIS, and basically have all that set up and have the kids encouraged to come through the system.
In the changing world of international agriculture, this awkward-looking creature could be the new flavour of the month. Hatcheries such as this in Warrnambool in Victoria are breeding yabbies, which are a type of crayfish, in small tanks. At 4 weeks old, they're transferred to dams, grown for another 20 weeks and then sold. The 20-centimetre wrigglers are valued at up to $20 per kilo on the domestic market. Overseas, prices can top the $100 mark.
Particularly in places like Sweden and Europe, there's a shortfall of something like 5,000 tonnes per annum, and that's without touching the Asian market at all.
Forestel Securities, an agricultural investment firm, has bought 120 hectares at North Arm Cove near Tea Gardens to cash in on the demand. 30 hectares of breeding ponds are planned, growing an estimated 90,000 kilograms of product each year.
It's a brand new industry. The world is screaming out for fish food, and with pollution and over-harvesting in the seas, it's going down each year. It's just going to open up a huge vacuum for us to fill, we hope.
The company expects a staff of 3 scientists and 10 farmhands should begin full-time work by July, and they are hoping to be selling yabbies by early next year.
New South Wales hospitals are concerned by the number of nurses leaving the health system. The average turnover rate is more than 30%. But Royal Newcastle Hospital falls well below that average with only a 26% turnover, the lowest in New South Wales. Director of Nursing Ms Deidre Anderson says the higher retention rate is good news for morale and also for economic reasons.
You invest a great deal of money in not only orientating new staff but achieving a high standard with the staff, and the longer they stay, of course, the more competent they are in their particular area.
The State College of Nursing set out to discover why nurses stayed longer at the Royal. They surveyed 2,000 nurses in 22 public and private hospitals. The results suggest that nurses preferred working conditions at the Royal, enjoyed being close to the beach and the city centre, and they liked the Newcastle lifestyle.
The important thing to realise is that people don't stay or leave their place of employment because of physical facilities, and well, certainly for nurses they don't. It's the people that they work with.
In fact, nurses at the Royal are so fond of the workplace that another in-house survey suggests more than half of those who've made up their minds about their futures wanted to stay at the Royal rather than move into the glamorous high-tech John Hunter Hospital when it opens next year.
The political future of Graham Richardson was front-page news today. The Labor Party's high-profile numbers man come Greenie come Social Security Minister is looking for a different life beyond his current political term. For the moment, Senator Richardson's more immediate concerns involve social security and the official opening today of the relocated Newcastle area office. The King Street operation serves a region stretching from Hornsby to Taree, taking over a coordinating role previously carried out at a state level.
I shall utter those immortal words. I declare this office officially open. Thank you.
Senator Richardson doesn't show the enthusiasm for this portfolio which he clearly felt for the environment, but he's quick to defend his interest. There was praise today for Social Security staff who worked tirelessly after the earthquake, with an official thank you from the Minister. As for welfare cuts in the coming budget, the Senator says he'll strive to minimise the cost to those who can least afford to pay.
I'm sure that in a climate where cuts in government spending are required, that my department will be required to furnish some of those cuts, and we will. But I think there is still room in the system for more equity and efficiency, which will mean that we can bring about those cuts without impacting on individuals, and that's got to be the aim of any exercise for a Labor government.
Newcastle opened brightly with Sandra Lanrigan potting the first goal for the home team. Cassie Mowbray from wing attack then combined beautifully with Rachel Long to grab another goal for Newcastle. At the other end, Manly was showing that they were not going to give in lightly, and Wendy Etherington and Tanya Henricks were looking the goods around the goal. Trudy Fry and Etherington showed brilliant coordination to notch another, and at quarter time, Manly led by 2, 11-9. From then on, Manly really started to dominate the match, and at one stage during the second quarter had skipped away to lead by 7. But the plucky Newcastle girls fought back to narrow the gap to 3. Tanya Henricks continued her super form and made one sensational goal as she was falling out of bounds. In the end, it was the visitors who got on top and finally ran out comfortable winners over a gallant BHP Newcastle, 52-32.
Jerry Everett is a basketball magician.
Jerry will get 30 or 40 against anybody at any level of competition, I think.
Everett was sacked from the side last year for disciplinary reasons when he deserted the American tour to see his family. But now it seems all is forgiven.
As far as I was concerned, Jerry and I have always had a good relationship on a personal basis, so there was never anything to overcome there. You know, it wasn't a matter of, well, can you put up with Jerry? It was, there was never a personal problem with us, so it was always going to be professional.
The Falcons, floundering on the bottom of the table, are playing to a 3-year pattern, hoping to build the side for the 1990s. A limit of 2 overseas players per team means Everett cannot play this season, but he is willing to play for the Hunters in the hope of a new deal next year with the top side.
Jerry would certainly give us options, and that's what we're really looking for, different ways to go next year.
Every team has its cluster of stars, and as far as the Knights are concerned, Michael Hagan is top of the heap. The solid 5/8's consistent form has seen him step admirably into the shoes of Wally Lewis for Queensland's State of Origin side, and more recently into the role of Knights captain.
He has a very good future in the captaincy role. He's proven to us that he can lead the side up every time he goes out in the paddock, and we're thankful for that.
Chief Executive Mike Armstrong's praise of Hagan is typical of the sentiment expressed by all the Knights management, and has prompted it today to offer him a contract renewal even Hagan himself admits is flattering.
It's a good offer, which I'll have to consider pretty seriously, but at this stage I'm fairly confident that I'll be a Newcastle Knight for a bit longer.
Not that there aren't other temptations. Hagan has confirmed he's also been the subject of overseas interest.
Certainly I've had an offer, but that's about all it is at this stage.
How seriously are you considering those, Michael?
Well, I'll have a good look at them, and obviously I've got to consider the cold weather and all those sort of things which I've experienced before, and if it's worthwhile, I'll look at it seriously, but at this stage I really haven't made up my mind.
The raid followed a lengthy surveillance operation of luxury units on John Whiteway Drive overlooking East Gosford. Last night, police waited until all the guests had arrived at the third-floor apartment. Then, at 11:30, they made their move. Acting on a pre-arranged signal, 7 police, including local detectives and members of Sydney's gaming squad, entered the apartment. The first the alleged gamblers knew of the raid was a barrage of electronic flashes as police recorded the scene with cameras. Police confiscated alleged gaming tables, cards and about $6,000 in cash. 13 people were charged with unlawful gaming and will appear in Gosford Court on July 9. This is the second police raid on illegal gambling in the Gosford area in 3 weeks. 13 people were charged last month and $13,000 confiscated. Tom Hilston, NBN News.